The 7th round of the GT1 World Championship saw the teams take to the Moscow Raceway. Stefano Telli led the wet race at the start, but he ran wide at the first corner, allowing Markus Winkelhock to slither up the inside and move into the lead. Soon after, the McLaren was up into second place, and the Ferraris, after a poor qualifying race, were starting to fight their way through the field. The two Audis were battling each other for supremacy, but again it was the number 3 Ferrari that was on a charge, making up more positions on this occasion, going past the early race leader Stefano Telli and the qualifying race winner from earlier on. There was also an intense inter-team battle at Hexis McLaren. Alvaro Parent sliding past Fred Makovicky up the inside to move past his teammate and up into second place and set his sights on the leader. He passed the leader in the end, going up the hill, getting to the inside of Markus Winkelhock, outbraking him and taking the lead of the race for Hexis. At the pit stops, Fred Makovicky came in to hand over to Stef Dusseldorp, flouting the pit lane marker as he did so, and that would take the McLarens back out in second place. The two Alinkel.com Munich Motorsports Mercedes were battling hard, Thomas Jaeger and Markus Winkelhock going side by side through the final corner, but their battling ultimately allowed the number 3 Ferrari through. But then there was a change for the lead. Parent had handed over to de Moustier, and Stef Dusseldorp forced his way past the number 2 Hexis McLaren and into the lead of the race. Francesco Castellacci was now challenging Nicky Pastorelli in the Mercedes, getting up the inside on the run down into the left-hander at turn 12. Then Philippe Salaquada was right up behind Gregoire de Moustier, sent it up the inside into turn 5. There was contact between the two of them, and de Moustier was sent spinning. Only a few moments later, and Salaquada sent Nicky Pastorelli spinning as well. Both Ferraris receiving penalties, but it was the race win for Fred Makovicky and Stef Dusseldorp after a brilliant drive in the rain in Moscow. The 8th round of the championship takes place at the Nurburgring, with a number of German brands in contention. They may be run by the Belgian WRT team, but Audi will be keen to impress on home soil. They returned to form somewhat last time out in Moscow Raceway after taking the win in the qualifying race thanks to Stefano Telli and Laurens Vanthoor. And Ortelli is confident a similar performance may be on the cards here.
Russian was good to be back on the first position. Even if it was a Saturday race, it was a good one. This is a good track for the Audi. Altogether, I think we are looking to make some podium again. The competition is very high. We can still do well in the championship in terms of team championship. So all the points will count, and both cars will be chasing maximum points as possible.
BMW have a very close association with the Nürburgring, and Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman come into this weekend still leading the Drivers' World Championship. Michael Bartels is confident that he can get the upper hand on his fellow German rivals.
Well, I think it will be a good German fight on one of the most famous tracks in the world, of course in Germany. It's not only a German driver battle, it's also a German brand battle, and I hope we are in the end in front of them.
The Ferrari 458 has shown good pace this season, but AF Corsa have been unable to quite turn it into results. A lot of that has been down to conditions. Colder conditions like we saw in Moscow seem to help the Ferrari gain pace, and with another chilly weekend in prospect here at the Nürburgring, Tony Verlander is confident they can be battling towards the front again.
We are definitely there with the others. If we are fast enough to battle for the win, I really don't know now, but I'm confident that we will have a positive weekend.
2010 French GT champion Laurent Groppi will be driving the Ford GT this weekend alongside Benjamin Lariche. Because of the long straights, Benjamin Lariche feels that it'll play into the hands of the Ford GT, and after experiencing the circuit last year in Formula 2, he's confident the team can show some decent pace this weekend.
I raced here last year in F2, so I'm happy to be in this historical track, so I'm very happy to be here. We had a good top speed on Moscow, so I think we will be good here, I think.
Lamborghini this weekend will have one car driven by Peter Cox and Stefan Racina, and the second by Mike Parisi and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Bleekemolen has a wealth of single-seater and GT racing experience, so expect the Dutchman to be strong this weekend. and his partner Mike Parisi has already proven his worth in GT1 this year and is looking forward to racing this weekend with the German Reiter engineering team.
I'm very happy to come back in the World GT1 Championship with Reiter. All is new for me, the track, the car, so it's very important to give the best of myself. I have a very good teammate too, so I think that we are one of the best pair in the championship.
It was a great weekend for McLaren in Moscow, with the Hexis racing team completing a 1-2 finish in the championship race. Fred Makovicky and Stef Dusseldorp needed that to pull themselves back into title contention, a position that they're very much in going into this weekend. And Dusseldorp thinks a shot at the title is very much a possibility.
Yeah, I think we're going to do well. I haven't got a lot of experience in GTs on this track, but I'm pretty confident we'll fight for the victory again. And we hope we score more points than Bartels and Burman and close the gap a little bit to make it a nice finish in Donington.
Mercedes-Benz are another German brand still in with a chance of winning the driver's title. They're currently leading the team's championship, and Markus Winkelhock has a great amount of experience here at the Nurburgring, including leading a race in Formula One back in a rain-affected 2007 European Grand Prix, and he's hoping to put that experience to the test.
I think it's getting now really close for the championship. Mark and me, we are really giving everything. For us it's really important to score as many points as possible, but I don't put any pressure on myself. I just drive like always, and then I hope that it ends up good.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Nurburgring. It's the penultimate round of the 2012 FIA GT1 World Championship, and things are just starting to get tight. We're getting towards crunch time in this season, and what better place to do it than at one of the most famous racetracks in the world, the Nurburgring, with the Nordschleife alongside it. The track temperature is now 20 degrees centigrade, which is the equal hottest that it's been all day. It's been a fairly chilly weekend so far here at the Nurburgring. We've got Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman leading the championship, 6 points clear of Mark Basseng and Markus Winkelhock, but those two pairs start 10th and 8th on the grid respectively, and it's the third place pairing of Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky who start on pole position for this race. So the championship is all set to concertina up this weekend. Al Inkel topped the team's championship, 207 points. They've got a fairly comfortable margin now. They can afford to just consolidate now to take the victory ahead of next weekend's season finale. Green flag waved, so the green flag lap begins. But here's a look at the grid. Makovicky and Dusseldorp on pole position. Then you've got Stippler and Jaeger on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid, the two Lamborghinis, Stefan Rosina and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Fourth row of the grid is Alvaro Parent and Markus Winkelhock. Francesco Castellacci and Michael Bartels in 9th and 10th. 11th and 12th for Salaquada and Nicky Melnoff after he made a mistake during the qualifying session. And then Laurent Groppi starting in 13th place on the GT1 grid. So through the final corners we come. Stef Dusseldorp and Stefano Telli on the front row. Frank Stippler and Thomas Jaeger on the second row. We wait for the lights to go out. When we do, this qualifying race will be underway. The lights go green and it's a great start from the number 32 Audi. Stefano Telli moving into the lead, but whether he'd made a bit of a jump start is difficult to tell. Look at this field of cars on the run down into turn one, but the McLaren holds the lead. It's still in grid order at the moment. That's going to be a very, very tight squeeze through there. We go on board with Markus Winkelhock as he tries to thread his way past a few cars. He's managed to get past one of the Lamborghinis, I think. He's also got his teammate Thomas Jaeger on his inside. No, both the Lamborghinis are still out there. Then we've got Alvaro Parent trying to stick it around the outside. The two Audis are battling with each other as well. But at the moment, and look at that, the two Mercedes going side by side, and that allows one of the BMWs to come through. Presumably Michael Bartels it is, who's the furthest forward of the BMs. Yes, it is, as they drop down now into 5 and 6. But it's still McLaren leading, ahead of the two Audis, ahead of the two Lamborghinis. But this German brand battle is kicking off already, with Alvaro Parent getting involved as well. Down towards turn 8. Markus Winkelhock has managed then to get himself up into 7th place. Bartels has gone from 10th to 8th as we go on board now with the Mercedes, looking back at Michael Bartels through the Schumacher S. A little lift and then back on the power. And that's a spin and into the wall. What an unfortunate start to Jeroen Bleekemolen's GT1 career. He's out of the race on the exit of the Schumacher S. And that may well bring out the safety car as well. But meanwhile, the McLaren is breaking clear. A little bit of a run wide from Alvaro Parent as he battles hard. The Ford GT is doing all right as well. There's Hans Reiter. Doesn't really know what to say, because that's the second time we've seen a Reiter Engineering Lamborghini in the wall this season after Albert von Taxis had an accident and the safety car is deployed. Good to see Jeroen Bleekemolen out, but the safety car has been deployed here at the Nurburgring. Hans Reiter with the thumbs down. Here's a look at the replay. We only see it from there. I don't think that's too heavy an impact, hopefully. I mean, it is with the tyres and it has done a reasonable amount of damage to the front end, no doubt about that. Jeroen Bleekemolen out of the race. Let's hear from the head of Reiter Engineering, Hans Reiter.
Once again for the number 24 car, Hans, what happened? We can't quite work it out.
Well, the only thing we know, or I know from radio, is that Jerome said, sorry guys. So I guess it was his mistake, and yeah, it's a pity. Currently we are consuming more cars per race than tires, and really will have to build a few cars now because we're running out of cars.
Is the car going to be okay? Do you know the extent of the damage?
No, I don't think so. It looked like a heavy shunt, not as heavy as Albert's in the last race, but it looked like a serious one. So I get front chassis, rear chassis. I would be surprised if it would be repairable, but let's hope.
Thank you.
Shows what I know, doesn't it? I said it looked repairable to me, but Hans Reiter probably knows a little bit more about his cars than I do. There's suggestions here that Bleekemolen picks up a left rear puncture. It's he gets some opposite lock on, but you can see the black tyre marks actually where the back end has stepped out. I would suggest that he's just lost it, frankly, because you can see clear two black tyre marks going sideways out of the Schumacher S's. Let's see if he collects the Armco barrier or anything. Unfortunately, we were following the sister Lamborghini at the time, but potentially something went wrong with the car on the exit of the corner. But yeah, he has collected the Armco a little bit. Well, there you can see the wreckage of the 24 car. Safety car will be in this lap. 40 minutes to go, the safety car peels into the pit lane and Stef Dusseldorp has gone already. Great restart from the Dutchman. Stefano Telli couldn't stay with him. Alvaro Parent's got a decent restart actually. He's right up behind Michael Bartels as they come across the line. Also involved is Thomas Jaeger in that battle, but Dusseldorp leads, Ortelli second. Stippler thinking about a move in third place. Will Parent send one up the inside into turn one? He's feeling brave. Is he going to get that car stopped in time? Yes, he is. Good move from Parent. Bartels tries to hang it on around the outside, but Parent runs him out of room. Brilliant stuff from the Portuguese driver, and he now moves up into sixth position. And the Mercedes could be following through before too long. Into turn two, right up behind Bartels. And then behind we've got Groppi, who looks like he's starting to come under pressure from the Ferraris. But look at that, Dusseldorp has made an excellent safety car restart. Is Groppi about to get passed by one of the Ferraris? No. Castellacci looked to the inside, but couldn't find the gap. There is Castellacci and Salaquardo running in 10th and 11th places. And they've got the first of the GT3 cars, and is that a front right puncture for the race leader? Stef Dusseldorp locking up big time, going down into the right-hander, and it is! The Hex's McLaren lead car has picked up a front right puncture, I think. And as a result, Stef Dusseldorp is going to drop so far back, almost collects his teammate Alvaro Parent, and he's blocked off his teammate, and that allows the BMW and the Mercedes through. What drama here! It's now an Audi 1-2 at the lead of this race. Incredible stuff. And Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky were my money for the win here, but they have dropped right off the pace now with that front right puncture. Even if Dusseldorp manages to coax it back to the pits, he is not going to be able to climb back up into a decent point scoring or decent finishing position for the race tomorrow, and he hasn't. He's parked it. What disappointment. Look at this, how Alvaro Parent didn't know which way to go. And as a result, the BMW and the Mercedes dive through on the inside. So Parent's got to do all that overtaking again. The Hexes team can't believe it, but leading the GT1 race is now Stefano Telli. Frank Stippler in second. Stefan Rossina promoted to third place then because of that. And look at that, Marcus Winkelhock staying with them. Marcus Winkelhock in fourth place is still right in there, and that has really damaged Makovicky and Dusseldorp's championship chances, because they're going to have to start from 13th on the grid tomorrow. So let's hear from the Hexis Racing Team Principal, Philippe Dumas. He's with Hayley Coxham.
Philippe, can you update us on what's happening?
We have a technical problem, probably a wishbone or upright, I don't know. So disappointing.
Thank you.
Philippe Dumas, clearly a very disappointed man, and it's interesting that he thinks it's a technical problem, because it looked initially, didn't it, like a puncture, but then as he went up the hill towards the Schumacher S's, the tyre didn't look particularly deflated, so it's an interesting one. The pit stop window is open. Well, here's the look at the replay, actually. It looked from here like it was just a kind of a puncture, but then when we see the car go up the hill, the camera zooms in, and then, oh, we've got pitting already. This is Michael Bartels and Thomas Jaeger, both coming into the pits. Now, it surprised me that Jaeger has come in, because he's been very, very quick. So this is going to be, as we've had a couple of times again this season, Al Inkel versus Vita for one in the pit stops. Jelmer Berman has been on it in the BMW this season. He's been on it this weekend as well. There you can see Al Inkel at the near side. Vita for one behind. Driver change is done. Final wheel change now to do. And where the car's not going anywhere. Berman is revving it, but he couldn't get it away. And as a result, the Mercedes is in front of the BMW now. Nicky Pastorelli in front of Jelmer Berman. What happened down there at Vita for one? In comes Stippler then to hand over to Oliver Jarvis. Audi's pit stops have tended to be a fraction slower than some of their rivals. Oh, and there's a fall. That won't cost them too much time, I don't think, because the tyre man wasn't there. Now, the interesting thing is going to be where they come out in relation to Pastorelli and Berman. That's going to be the interesting thing, because you can see trouble at the left rear, and they're going to get leapfrogged by Pastorelli and Berman. There's almost no doubt about that. Away goes the Audi, but there was some real trouble on the left rear of that car. Down the start-finish straight they come. Surely the Audi isn't going to make it out of the pits in time. It's not, and from such a good position, Oliver Jarvis now finds himself, ultimately, that'll probably shake out to being something like 6th or 7th place. In comes Winkelhock then to hand over to Marc Basseng, who gets a good getaway. He was in front of these two anyway, so that's no real shock to see him emerge in front. There's Ortelli, handing over to Laurence Vanthor. Now, can WRT have a slicker pit stop this time around? That looks all right. That looks all right for Laurence Vanthor. Into the final corner comes Pagan. And look at that! They've jumped them at the pit stops. The Lamborghini leads. Peter Cox comes out in the lead of the race. They have managed to jump the WRT team at the pit stops. Stefan Rossina pretty happy with that, as you'd imagine. But we've still, as I say, got to watch out for Alvaro Parent in the number 2 McLaren. He's going to be the man to watch in these final windows of pit stops. But there is Peter Cox, the Dutchman who's had 2 fastest laps of the race in 2 events so far this season, but yet to make it onto the podium, incredibly. Berman can't do anything about Pastorelli. Here comes Alvaro Parent then into the pit lane, and this is going to decide who is going to be leading the race at the end of the pit stop window. There's our race leader though, Peter Cox. He's pulled away as well, because he came out of the pits just in front of Laurence Vanthor, but now he's got a comfortable margin. Here comes the pit stop. Alvaro Parent jogs away. Gregoire de Moustier takes over. Out of the final corner, or into the final corner I should say, turn 17. Comes Peter Cox. Away goes de Moustier. lighting up the rear tyres. Has that cost him time? This is going to be close, but I think the Lamborghini's going to get it. Peter Cox moves into the lead of the race. Gregoire de Moustier will slot into second place then. How quickly can he get his McLaren's tyres up to temperature before he comes under attack from Laurens Vanthoor and Marc Basseng? I don't understand where the pace has come from the Mercedes, because all of a sudden they're genuine front runners. Jelmer Berman, we saw in the background, almost looked like he'd found a way past, and there comes Basseng attacking now. Laurens Vanthoor. Berman didn't find a way past. De Moustier gets it wrong on the exit of 4. We go on board with Basseng. Vanthoor up into second place. Basseng up into third place. De Moustier just getting it sideways on the exit of turn 4, I think, on the cold tyres. Fantastic stuff from Peter Cox out the front. Hugely experienced racer. And he's finally getting to show us up at the front why he is so hugely experienced and why he has won so many championships and races around the world. We've spoken to Hans Reiter once today. The first time he was sad. Second time,
Hans, it certainly wasn't the best start for the team today, but what a great race it's been for Peter Cox and Stefan Racina.
Yes, unbelievable. It's up and down in our team and this within half an hour. Great. We gained position with the pit stop, so this is just a dream for the team to overtake Audi in the pits. It was great for us, and again, the race is not yet over, but at least it looks quite good and promising.
Thank you.
second time he's happy. Again, that last lap, Peter Cox took 0.6 of a second away from Laurens Vanthoor. You can see there, in fact, the lap comparison. Lap 17 they were matched, but lap 16 and 18 it was 1.6 seconds. Here comes Berman again. He's so quick out of that quick flick chicane, and all of a sudden de Moustier isn't being troubled up in front. Such a close battle, as we were anticipating. There's Oliver Jarvis now. How far behind is he? He was 7, and he's still 6. Here comes Berman up the inside into turn 1. Finally made the move on the brakes. The V1 team delighted. A sigh of relief from one of the mechanics in the middle, but Jelmer Berman has been tentatively looking at that move throughout this race, and he's finally made the move stick, and he moves up into 5th place. Let's hear from Michael Bartels, Jelmer Berman's teammate. What's his reaction to that move?
Jelmer certainly put the pressure on, and finally he took the place.
Well, I mean, you could see that he can go a little quicker than the Mercedes, but a lot of time is lost to catch up to the group in front. We need each point. We had not a good qualifying session in Q2 with me, so currently running in 5th position. Our direct competitor, the Mercedes, is in 3rd. So the last 10 minutes we try to make up one more position.
Thank you.
Has de Moustier gone a little bit wide there? I think he has. That might just give Berman the exit he needs from turn 12. He's right underneath the rear end of that McLaren now. The chicane is perhaps a little too fast a place to make the move, but if he can keep this close and perhaps repeat his manoeuvre into turn 1 that he pulled on Nicky Pastorelli a lap or 2 ago, he's got a great exit from the chicane, and Jelmer Berman moves up into 4th place. The V1 team delighted with that one. We saw actually the BMW was very strong on the exit of that chicane against the Mercedes, and now he's up into 4th. There's Peter Cox, the Lamborghini Gallardo, leading not for the first time full stop, but the first time for a consistent amount of time from Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Plenty of experience, plenty of racing experience. You may remember him from that 1998, 99, 2000 era of the British Touring Car Championship, where he was racing. He's won the Spa 24 Hour in 1995. He was the ADAC GT Masters champion in 2010. Now we're on board with Basseng. That's Berman behind us. Is Basseng losing out here? Because that's Alexei Vasiliev, I think, in front of them in the Audi. It's the Nova driver Audi of Alexei Vasiliev who's getting in the way a little bit here. And Marc Basseng won't be impressed with that one, because now he's got Jelmer Berman right on his tail with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Berman gets out of shape on the exit of 4. That'll just compromise his attack a little bit. But he's still well within a second now of Marc Basseng. What can Jelmer Berman do? It's going to be a real challenge for him to get past Marc Basseng. Moustier in the McLaren was obviously weaker out of the chicane. And look at that gravel being kicked up by Berman. He is pushing so hard, weaving to try and get the gravel off his tyres so it doesn't affect him into the braking zone of turn 8. Up into the Schumacher S they come. Really impressive GT driver Jelmer Berman is turning into. Out onto the back straight. No surprise either, because he has an incredible single-seater record. His actual championship finishing positions aren't that impressive. Fourth in British F3 and 6th in F3 Euro Series, but you look at the people he was racing against. In British F3 he was 4th behind Mike Conway, Oliver Jarvis and Bruno Senna, where he used his overtaking prowess to good effect. Can he pull that out now? Final lap of the race. Basseng knows it, goes defensive, covers the inside line. Berman sends it to the outside in the BMW. That might have just been enough for Marc Basseng. Berman may not be able to find another opportunity on this 5.1 kilometre circuit to get past the Mercedes in front of it. It's his direct championship rival. Brilliant stuff. These two battling hard over the race position and over the championship. Into turn 5, Basseng is going to only take the racing line if he's 100% sure he doesn't need to cover the inside. Berman gets a good run out of 6. And as a result, Basseng again will just cover the inside line so he doesn't get a late lunge from Berman. Look how close they are as they come through turn 8. Hans Reiter is praying for his car of Peter Cox to come through, because here he comes through turn 13, up towards 14 and 15 at the chicane for the final time. Stefan Racina made a great start. It was all down to the pit stop for Reiter Engineering. They've had pace throughout this season. Peter Cox has set some blistering lap times. There's a spin at the final corner. That almost caught him out, but the checkered flag is there for Peter Cox to take the win in the qualifying race for Reiter Engineering. Second place for Laurens Vanthoor. Hans Reiter is delighted, and Marc Basseng holds on to third place and closes in by 1 point in the battle for the championship. It's now down to 6. Hugs and applause everywhere on the Lamborghini pit wall. There is Stefan Racina getting a congratulatory call already by the looks of things. Here's a look at the race results. The Lamborghini Gallardo winning for the first time this year. The Reiter Engineering car of Stefan Racina and Peter Cox taking the victory. 2.5 seconds clear of the Audi R8 of Laurens Vanthoor and Stefan Artelli. But Cox certainly backed off over the last stage of that race. It was up as much as 5.5 seconds. Marc Basseng and Marcus Winkelhock, they always manage to pull it out of the bag, don't they? Third place after struggling to make it through to Q3 in qualifying. Berman and Bartels in 4th. De Moustier, good drive from him. Very impressed with Gregoire De Moustier today. He and Alvaro Parent finishing 5th. Pastorelli and Jaeger in 6th. Jarvis and Stippler only 1.8 seconds off the back of that Mercedes in the end. Belander and Salaquada, again, what might have been for them. Lauda and Mermanov 9th. Eden Castellacci 10th. Lariche and Groppi in 11th. Let's hear now from our race winners. Peter Cox and Stefan Racina are with Haley.
Peter, congratulations on a tremendous performance.
Yeah, it worked fantastically for us for once. You know, the guys worked so hard on the pit stop all year, and they always were fast, but always when it came to the pinnacle one, it never worked out for us, especially for my car then. And now everything worked fine, and I owe a lot also to Stefan, because he did a fantastic job and he made it possible that I could win this race today.
And Stefan, front row start for you tomorrow. Can you turn it into another win?
Well, let's see. I mean, I think we have to celebrate today, and then everything is possible, and we will try our best.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Nurburgring. It's the penultimate championship race of the season. Things are really starting to hot up in this FIA GT1 World Championship. The top 3 teams in the championship, the top 3 pairs I should say, are only separated by 20 points, and we've still got plenty up for grabs here at the Nurburgring and next weekend at Donington Park for the season finale. So let's take a look at the grid for this penultimate championship race of the season. Peter Cox on pole position. Alongside him, Laurens Vanthoor in the Audi. Marc Basseng and Jelmer Berman, the battle of the German brands on the second row. Then we've got de Moustier and Pastorelli on the third row of the grid, ahead of Oliver Jarvis and Tony Verlander, who we should watch out for. We also need to watch out in 9th and 10th place. We've got Lauda and Eade, but we also need to watch out for Fred Makovicky in the number 1 Hexus McLaren. He's starting alongside Benjamin Lariche. And Mike Parisi about to race this Lamborghini Gallardo for the first time. Things are getting important now, and we've got the championship protagonists on the second row, Marc Basseng and Jelmer Berman. When the lights go off, the race will be underway. It's a good start again from Laurens Vanthoor, but he's not going to be quite able to get there. A good start as well from Grégoire de Moustier, trying to slide through the middle. Look at Tony Verlander on the inside, trying to make up some positions as well. But it's a good start from Peter Cox. He holds the lead into turn 1, trying to move him into second place is Marc Basseng. There's a little bit of contact, and look, there's a Ferrari almost up into second place. We've got a spin towards the back. One of the Heiko cars is going to be out of the race, and a rear right puncture for Nicky Pastorelli in the 37 Al-Inco. Nicky Pastorelli is going to have to creep back to the pits. Was that a McLaren flying off? Did I see there? We'll have to wait and see. It looked like a silver car, but it was a McLaren, we think. It was number 2. It was Grégoire de Moustier with no left rear wheel by the looks of things. So at least championship-wise, that hasn't affected it too much. One of the Heiko Gravity Charouz GT3s still driving around with its door open. But let's consolidate then as they come down into the hairpin. It's going to be Peter Cox leading. Second place is one of the Ferraris. I imagine it's going to be Tony Verlander, but we can't quite see the number from there. Then in third place is Marc Basseng. Fourth is Laurens Vanthoor. Fifth is Jelmer Berman. And sixth place, again, as they go up the hill. And there is Oliver Jarvis out of the race. Front left damage. Out onto the start-finish straight they come. And I wonder if it was the Audi and the Mercedes that came together. That would make sense, wouldn't it? It is Tony Verlander in second place. We've also got a great start from the Heiko car of Dominic Baumann. Here comes Fred Makovicky attacking the BMW into turn 1. Makovicky didn't make up much ground in the start. He's only in 9th place, and he's still struggling to get around that BMW in front of him. In fact, it's another good start from one of the AF Corsas as well. Giuseppe Ciro has got himself up into 7th place overall in all that carnage at turn 1. And there you can see Nicky Pastorelli limping back to the pits. Laurens Vanthoor goes defensive because Jelmer Berman's attacking. Has Berman got the cutback on Vanthoor? Not quite yet. So that last lap, Verlander in the end only took 0.3 of a second out of Peter Cox. Here's the overlap from Berman into turn 3, and he moves past Laurens Vanthoor and up into 4th position. That's a little tentative look up the inside from Fred Makovicky going into turn 12, but that's always going to be an optimistic one. But we've got a nice little queue now. Matthias Lauda has all of a sudden been invited onto the back of Fred Makovicky. They come up the hill. Again, Baumann nosing towards the inside line. Jelmer Berman sets the fastest middle sector of anyone, and he must have a problem, Laurens Vanthoor, because he's dived straight into the pit lane. Here's a look at the start then. They were all fairly neat. As soon as the lights go green, they all fan out, going about 12 abreast. Oh, look at that forceful move. Did you see that McLaren on the left-hand side of the picture? That was Fred Makovicky forcing Mike Parisi almost into the wall. Now, where does it all kick off? There's a bit of a bump here for second place. And where is the contact going to be? Oh, did you see? Yeah, there we go. Top right of the screen, it was a pincer effect between the Audi, the McLaren and Oliver Jarvis. If you look to the left hand or keep watching to the outside of this next corner, you're going to see, there we go, the three of them all get together. The Audi, the Mercedes and the McLaren all get together on the outside of turn 2. That's where the damage is done. But Tony Verlander is already up into second place before that even happens. And there you see the McLaren flashing through a shot. That's the flash of McLaren I saw. We can hear now from Oliver Jarvis down in the pits.
Ollie, your thoughts on the Chunt?
just an absolute joke. I mean, I need to speak to the Mercedes, but we're exiting turn 1. On the exit, he just cuts straight across the front of me. I mean, unless he had a problem, then there's no excuse, just crazy driving. But like I say, I'm going to first speak to him because it maybe he had a puncture or something, but otherwise, then he's just a complete idiot.
Thank you.
So watching the top right now, there you see, yeah, you can see Pastorelli comes across into the Audi, which then sends the Audi into the McLaren. That's Thomas Jaeger, Nicky Pastorelli's teammate, and Oliver Jarvis has come to talk to Pastorelli, and I think it's clear to see Jarvis's opinion on that fact. There is now a drive-through penalty for Mike Parisi for causing a collision. So after all that hard work for Reiter, it's not turned out well for Mike Parisi, unfortunately. Over the line come these four. Still the battle over third position rages, and Berman thinks about it. Little feint towards the inside line. There is Parisi into the pit lane to serve his drive-through. So now watch this Lamborghini on the very inside, the white Lamborghini. He's going to, oh, well, that's, I think he was, he had to dart to the left to get out of the way of hitting the car in front, and that then concertinaed the collision. Look how close Makovic is. He's very, oh, he's got a little bit of rear right bodywork kicking off. Little look up the inside going into turn 3. There's going to be contact there between him and Baumann. Fred Makovic, I think, possibly frustrated or determined. Mixture of both. Trying to force his way past now. Here's Philippe Dumas jogging up to Heiko. Possibly. Oh, and there's contact. That he doesn't need to now. He probably ought to run away before Heiko have a go at him. And, yeah. Philippe Dumas, a bit unpopular now. He's made it up there. Fred Makovic just knocking round the GT3 car of Dominic Baumann. Here we go. Same move as last time. And just the slightest of touches was enough to send the 101 Mercedes round. That promotes then Fred Makovic up a place. Still 5th in GT1 overall. Gap's up to 1.5 seconds for the lead, but Berman's got a great run, and Basseng knows it. Straight to the inside line. Look at Fred Makovic in the McLaren behind, just poised to have a go if these two come together. Berman sends it to the outside, almost contact. Makovic sees the gap to the inside of turn 1, backs out of it because he realizes that was a gap that was always going to close. But he's well in the fight for a podium place now. The pit window is now open. Stefan Rattel, boss of SRO, watching on. Michael Bartel's watching on as well, ready to take over whenever Jelmer Berman, or whenever the team decide he should come in. Good exit from Berman there. Really good exit. You could see the extra momentum he carried through turn 12. Through the kink at 13, but not quite a big enough braking zone to make a move into the chicane, I don't think. He looks to the inside. Is he going to try it? No, he's not. Just desperate to try and put Marc Basseng off somehow. They're all staying out, though, again. That could have been a bit of an error from Berman. He showed his nose towards the inside. Means he'll take a tighter line through the final corner, which could give Makovic an opportunity as well. They've got Giuseppe Ciro along with them in the GT3 Ferrari. Down the start-finish straight. Berman hugs the inside. Makovic moves to the outside. Not going to send it all the way around the outside at turn 1. Tries to get a bit of a cut back, but then he'll just be on the outside line for turn 2 as well. Tries to dart back underneath out of 2. There's going to be contact there, is there? Quite possibly, but Makovic has forced his way past. Giuseppe Ciro tries to get past the championship leading 18 as well, and he manages to do it. No, Berman then has the inside line for 4, but a great move from Fred Makovic. I don't know how much contact there was in there, but Fred Makovic has now made it through into 4th place. Oh, it's a drive-through penalty for car number 1. Drive-through penalty for Fred Makovic in the number 1 Hexis McLaren for causing a collision. Philippe Dumas not happy at all, as you can imagine. Race leader in, Peter Cox comes into the pit lane. all these cars are going to have to come in on this lap because the pit stop window closes with 25 minutes to go, and with about a 2-minute lap here, they're not going to be able to get around in time again. Into the pits then comes Tony Verlander in the battle for the lead of the race. These three are all going to dive into the pits as well. This is going to be fun. This is going to be very interesting, and this is going to be a challenge for our cameraman as well. There you can see Markus Winkelhock waiting, Steph Dusseldorp waiting, Michael Bartel's waiting as well. The GT3 Ferrari is coming into the pits, and he will then fall back a long way. Look at this. Makovic moving across because the BMW was looking towards the inside line. In goes the BM. In goes the McLaren. In goes the Mercedes. This is where it's down to the teams. Remember, it was Mercedes, McLaren, BMW as they came into the pits. Out goes Tony Verlander, who's now handed over to Philippe Salaquada. So that's going to be interesting as far as the lead of the race is concerned. Well, the 25 Lamborghini is only coming around the final corner, so into the lead of the race goes Philippe Salaquada. The McLaren has lost out in the pit stops, so all that fighting to get past the 18 BMW is for nothing, but they have all managed to leapfrog Stefan Rosina, except for the number 1 McLaren. Steph Dusseldorp has lost out massively in that pit stop. It may not affect him because he may still have to serve this drive-through penalty, although I imagine Philippe Dumas is with race control as we speak. And they're sending it up the inside straight away, though, is Stefan Rosina. Now he's got some heat in his tyres as Michael Bartel struggles to get the heat into the BMW. So now our race leader is Philippe Salaquada, number 3. But on an absolute mission is Stefan Rosina, right up behind Markus Winkelhock. Rosina's tyres are up to temperature. Winkelhock in the Mercedes that struggles to get its tyres up to temperature could be a sitting duck here. Rosina's got a good exit on the run down into the hairpin. This is the battle over second place in the second to last championship race of the season. Rosina sticks it to the outside to then try and get the drive out of the corner. Look how close they are. Winkelhock, he moved to the inside line, but if Rosina can hang it on around the outside, Winkelhock comes across, shuts that door. Rosina sells him the dummy, tries to send it up the inside into the chicane. There's going to be contact there, surely. They both bounce through the gravel and survive. How did they both come out of that one alive? I will never know. Here's a look at the replay. Look at this. He sells him one way, sells Winkelhock the dummy, and he just tries to do it on the brakes, and he's well up alongside. That's a fair enough move from Rosina, but the two of them bounce through and survive. Brilliant racing. Stefan Rosina still pressuring the Mercedes. Does he fancy it again? Winkelhock's learnt from his mistakes. He moves across on Rosina. Almost contact between the pair of them again. There may well have been a little bit of a touch, but this is some resolute defending from Markus Winkelhock. Let's hear from Peter Cox, who started that car.
Peter, Stefan is certainly putting the pressure on, but how is he going to overtake that Mercedes?
I don't know. That car has been strong all year, and here we also have the pace, but be faster or overtake are two different things. And unfortunately, our car didn't start so well at the pit stop, so we lost some time there and some track position. But he's doing really well, and maybe we still get a better position than we are now.
Thank you.
And into the pits for the drive-through penalty comes car number 1. Steph Dusseldorp comes in now. That was, you have 3 laps to serve your drive-through penalty. That was about 8, something like that. But I imagine because Philippe Dumas was arguing with race control, it looks like this number 3 Ferrari is going to take the victory. Let's hear from Tony Verlander, shall we?
Tony, a spectacular performance so far, and it looks like you could walk away with a championship race win for the first time this season.
I really hope so. So far I've been the world champion of the warm-up, so always in the practice and warm-up we are P1. Now the starts, as everything came to me, I decided for the mistake of Portimao to go inside and keep the line inside, and the guys were a little bit too fast going in, and I managed to go second. Then I went back to third, and the corner after back to second. Peter Cox, I think, was in the Lamborghini, so he was doing an excellent job. When he came in 1 lap earlier, I was actually improving my lap time almost more than a half a second, so I really pushed also the in-lap. And now everything is looking good, but this season we had so much bad luck, so it's not over until the flag is there. So.
Thank you.
And there's the number 1 Hexis McLaren, slowly cruising down towards turn 8. Steph Dusseldorp at the wheel, shaking the car all over the place to try and sort out the problem. What can they do? Fred Makovicky looking concerned, and he may well look concerned because this could be the end of their championship chances. The one positive about the mechanical breakdown, I mean, it's not really a positive, but that suggests that that would have happened anyway despite the drive-through penalty. So at least the drive-through penalty isn't necessarily the reason. So if things finish like this, Marc Basseng will be leading the championship by 1 point. Let's see what he thinks of that.
Marc, you will be leading the championship by 1 point if you finish in your current position. How does that feel?
Don't ask me this. I don't want to answer that. The race is okay. Marcus is doing a great job. We had a good start, but it's purely clear that we have not a quick car. We just can't fight for it, and we do it. And I hope we can finish like that. That would be really great.
Thank you.
Doesn't want to jinx it, does he, Marc Basseng? The gap is extended now. Winkelhock taking advantage of Rosina being caught out. And as a result, the gap is going to be up to something like 2.5 seconds, possibly even 3, I think. Stefan Rosina has certainly made an impression in his few races in GT1 so far this season. He made his debut the first round in Slovakia. He's been very, very quick this weekend as well. Not quite quick enough to overhaul Marcus Winkelhock in those early laps. Tried to duck and weave every way he could to try and get past Marcus Winkelhock, but in the end, Winkelhock held on to the position, held on to that second place. Pit stops of car 3 and 4 are under investigation after the race. That's an interesting one. So AF Corse are being investigated for their pit stops. Well, let's actually hear from Tony Villander. I wonder if he knows what the supposed pit stop infringement might be.
Tony, can you update us on what's going on?
Yeah, we are surprised about the news. We have absolutely no idea what they are talking about, so hopefully it's something that they just check and then it's okay. Otherwise, I'm really disappointed, but we will finish the race now and then we will see. Hopefully there will be some justice, but I don't know.
Thanks.
As things stand, Philippe Salaquada is about to win the championship race, and it'll be the first championship race victory for Ferrari. Tony Villander put in a mega start. He was mega quick in warm-up this morning. Ferrari have had a quick car all season, but they just haven't been able to sort it out in the races. But that changes today, because the penultimate championship race of the season is won by AF Corse Ferrari. Philippe Salaquada and Tony Villander take the victory at the Nurburgring. Marcus Winkelhock and Marc Basseng cross the line to move into the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 1 point ahead of this car, Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman. They've led the championship for a long, long time, but now they're second in it. Stefan Rosina and Peter Cox finishing third in the race. There you can see the race results then. The race win for the number 3 Ferrari 458 Italia, the AF Corse machine of Tony Villander and Philippe Salaquada. Second place for Marcus Winkelhock and Marc Basseng in their Mercedes. Cox and Rosina, podium for them. First podium of the season, in fact, for Peter Cox and for Reiter. They finish in third place. Berman and Bartels fourth. Lauda and Melnoff in fifth place. Vanthor and Ortelli in sixth. Eden Castellacci 7th, Pastorelli and Jaeger 8th, Parisi and Blicamola 9th, Makovicky and Dusseldorp 10th place. Now, that'll depend, they might get a point from that, it'll depend whether they were classified finishers or not. So, let's hear then from our race winners. The first championship race victory for AF Corse Ferrari, Villander and Salaquada.
Congratulations, Philippe, your first championship race win.
Yeah, it's a great win. I want to thank you all, the team, and Tony. He had a great start, which I was really impressed. He made a P2, and then during the pit stop we make up to P1. So for me it was just I saw the car behind me very far, but I had to keep my pace. But the car was working very well, and I could stay in my pace and do good lap times, and we can stay in P1. I'm very happy, very happy.
Finally, a great win for you, Tony. I know there is an investigation with regards to the pit stop, but still a wonderful result for the team.
Yeah, there's a marshal report, something about when the guys took off the tire and taking back to the pit carriage. The race was incredible. We had a good pace during the practice, also warm-up this morning. I got the incredible start, some fight with the Mercedes. Then I followed Peter quite closely. When he came in, I pushed the in-lap very hard, and the guys did one of the best pit stop of the season. And hopefully, as I said, there's some justice, and we're gonna really get official win. So it would be nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's a look at the championship standings. 1 point between Basseng and Winkelhock and Bartels and Berman. The 13 points that was the gap for second and third place is now extended. So it looks as though, according to our calculations, Dusseldorf and Makovic do get that 1 point. They're still in contention, but there's 33 points up for grabs and they're 32 points behind. It's pretty much an impossibility. As far as the team's championship is concerned, Alinco still lead. They've got a decent margin, 36 points at the top of the team's championship. It's going to take a big overhaul from Vita for one to get past Alinco at the top, but it's everything to play for at Donington Park in a week's time. So congratulations to Salaquada and Verlander on the top step of the podium. They will receive their trophies. Alain de la Muraz, Blancpain Vice President and Head of Marketing, hands the trophies to Stefan Racina and Peter Cox. First trophies of the season for Reiter Engineering. Second place, Winkelhock and Basseng. An important second place. Errol Sander, Blancpain Testimonial. And of course the famous German actor handing over the trophies. And the race victory trophies for Tony Verlander and Philippe Salaquada. So 1 point between them as we move to Donington Park next weekend. From myself, Jack Nichols, Hayley Coxon in the pit lane, everyone here at GT1, we'll see you then.